We got some new information about the upcoming Star Wars Starfighter film from director Shawn Levy, where he explained how the film is the most like Return of the Jedi. Roll this up over at phantompulse.com. You can find the link in the description below. So he made these comments in an interview on the Kevin McCarthy podcast, and he was specifically asked what the pivotal movie that he saw at a young age was that basically got him into film. And this is how he answered. It's such a cliche answer, but it's an extra poignant answer because of what I'm doing right now. It was Star Wars. It was 1977. I love Star Wars. I loved Empire. But boy, it must have been somewhere in my adolescence for Return of the Jedi. Is that 84, 83, or 84? Let me tell you something. I have not said this out loud because everyone's like, which Star Wars movie is Starfighter the most like? Which is it the most inspired by? If I'm being honest, I know the cool answer would be Empire. And sort of the inarguable answer would be New Hope, but it's kind of Jedi. He then explained this. It's Jedi because of the combination of theme, levity, adventure, heart, spectacle. Somehow that movie just got it right for me. And I saw that movie so many times in a theater, more times in a theater than New Hope and Empire. And it stuck with me. There's moments where I'm on set of Starfighter and I feel like that kid is with me in the director's chair, like I'm there making his dream come true. Now, obviously, he is clearly doing promotion. Specifically, he's doing this promotion for Stranger Things, given the fact that he is one of the main creators over there, directing all kinds of the Stranger Things episode. But he's clearly also promoting the upcoming Star Wars Starfighter thing. So given that, maybe we take his comments here with a little bit of salt. But I do find this encouraging. I think that Return of the Jedi is probably my favorite, especially given the fact that how it does, I think, really do a good job of closing out the original trilogy. It has that that final act. I mean, and there's all kinds of great things from it. We'll get to it a little bit here. There is this review that this Orthodox priest did back in 1984 after watching Return of the Jedi, Archbishop Lazar Pahalo. And as part of his review, he wrote this. It is one of the only movies I know of from the last 2 or 3 decades where we witness an actual triumph of virginity and morality over the dark forces of the passions. The problems one might have with the interpretation of the Force are minor compared to the positive beauty of the movie. And so earlier on, he talks about how Luke is this virgin. He's kind of on the path to the priesthood, obviously, with the correlation with becoming a Jedi. And he has to first overcome those passions, which are clearly on display in the form of Jabba the Hutt, who clearly is just completely controlled by his passions. He has the girls dancing around in front of them. And then when he wants to basically act upon those passions, he doesn't act upon it in a sexual way, but he does it by feeding them to the monster, right? And that's how he feeds it. And what does Luke do? He defeats Jabba the Hutt. Leia obviously is involved there as well. Han, Lando, etc. They all are able to defeat Jabba the Hutt. And obviously that continues where he has to eventually fight against Vader, and he wins by by denying his passions again. He realizes he's kind of being consumed by his anger in his fight with Vader, realizes that, and then immediately kind of stops, quits, throws the lightsaber down, and would rather die than be consumed by his passions and basically be led into the dark side where he would be tormented basically for the rest of his life. And then earlier in the interview, Archbishop Pahalo pointed this out. In the closing scene of the film, the Allies are celebrating their final victory, not entirely aware that the victory was actually won by Luke Skywalker's defeat of the passions in his own life and his ultimate choice of co-suffering love over the temptations of power, anger, and malice, right? He is dying, suffering, being electrocuted by the Emperor for the love of his father, right? Luke observes the worldly celebrations from a distance. He is disconnected from all this, dispassionate, already on a higher plane. His moral grandeur and virginity intact, he has become a Jedi, a true monk. He has received the schema, and the real victories in his galaxy will be won by him and those who may follow him. He is now the elder. As he turns his back on the festivities, he sees in an aura a vision of his sainted elder Yoda, his spiritual father Kenobi, who, after his own self-sacrificing death, became Luke's patron saint, and Luke's father, Darth Vader, all smiling benevolently. Darth Vader with the two saints, of course, for such is the power of repentance. Such is that love which grants to him who wrought from the 11th hour together with those who wrought from the first. And obviously, we see that repentance with Vader. Not only does he clearly have that change of heart where he picks up the Emperor and chucks him down, but then he also basically confesses all of his sins in that very poignant scene with Luke Skywalker right before he dies. So those are like why I really love Return of the Jedi. Now, that's not to say Shawn Levy loves the movie the same way that I do or recognizes any of this stuff, but the fact that he's pointing out that his movie is more like Jedi than any of the others, I think is a really good sign. And there is reason to be optimistic about this film. Now, there's also reason to be pessimistic because he also kind of shared some details as for what to expect. And he's kind of said some of this in previous interviews, saying it's not a sequel, it's not a prequel, it's not legacy characters, and it's not any period of time in the galaxy that's ever been explored. It's 5 years after Rise of Skywalker. So it technically is still a sequel, right? They're not jumping ahead 300 years. They're not going back into the past 500 years, etc. He's just 5 years after Rise of Skywalker. Now, obviously, it seems like there aren't going to be any characters from Rise of Skywalker in this film, but it's hard for me to imagine that they aren't going to reference Rise of Skywalker, and they're clearly still trying to justify that sequel trilogy, which really kind of destroys Luke's arc, right? And I think that we see that even more when we kind of examine Archbishop Ahalo's comments here again. We see how he's no longer the elder. He literally abandons all of that in The Last Jedi. He abandons all of that. He's secluded himself onto this island. He's given up the fight. He's cut himself off from the Force. He's just completely given up his birthright. And I think they just did an absolutely awful job in doing that. Now, obviously, there can be ways to do that. And I just don't think that Luke Skywalker is the character that you do that with, especially after how he did overcome all of these evils, etc. But so it's still connected to that sequel trilogy. It's still connected to that. We also got some more information here. It says, but what this means is that we are inventing everything in this movie, and the desire to make design choices, character choices, planet choices, costume choices, droid choices, alien choices, all of it needs to feel Star Wars-y, but I am freaking determined to not let any of it feel derivative or lazily copycat. And I'll say so far, the encouragement I've gotten from Disney and from Kathy Kennedy and Lucasfilm is to forge new ground. It's been the one constant ever since I gave them an outline of this idea that Jonathan Tropper and I cooked up. And then he goes and kind of recalls a conversation he had with Kathleen Kennedy talking about how she basically told him, make it original. You pick the writer, you pick the story, just make it feel like a Shawn Levy movie, make it warm-hearted and fun and built for audience delight. And he says that was the only mandate. So that, I think, is basically the big criticisms that George Lucas gave the Force Awakens, basically saying it was just derivative. There wasn't anything new. They just kind of redid the movie. That was one of my criticisms when I first watched it as well. Thought it was just a repeat of the original film. And obviously that was a heavy criticism that George levied at it. And it seems like maybe they're taking that to heart now. We shall see. I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence. I do like what Shawn Levy is saying here about the fact that it's more like Jedi than any of the other movies. I just kind of went over that. But again, it's still Star Wars. It's still Lucasfilm. Kathleen Kennedy is still in charge. And what exactly is a Shawn Levy movie? I'll be honest, I haven't seen a lot of his films. I haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine. I didn't see The Atom Project. I didn't see Free Guy. I haven't seen any of these movies. I haven't even seen this one, Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb. I did see the original Night at the Museum and The Battle at the Smithsonian. I enjoyed those for what they are. Are they like amazing, groundbreaking movies? I don't think so. I did like Real Steel. I thought that was a really good one that he did. I enjoyed that one. I thought that was really good. So if it's something like Real Steel, I'll be happy with it. But we'll see. We'll see. A little optimistic, I guess, about why I think that this movie could be starting something new with Star Wars. But again, we still got the same people kind of involved on the top end. You still have Kathleen Kennedy. We know that she's tried to push feminism throughout Star Wars. You still got Bob Iger, etc. So obviously the verdict is still out. We haven't even seen a trailer, but I do think that what he's saying right now is what I like to hear. But at the same time, we've seen this before, right? We've seen people say the right things, and then they give you a giant bowl of garbage soup. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, definitely being cautious about this film. But his comments here have piqued my interest about it. That's definitely for sure. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below.